Hey guys, welcome back to Bolstering Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we're going to go over something I thought I talked about already, but I guess I haven't. We're going to talk about how to collect Tyranids with the new 9th edition Codex. This is going to be perfect for any of you guys who are starting out to the hobby in Tyranids, or maybe you're just starting the Tyranid army for the first time. 9th edition book is an excellent place for you if you are looking to get into Tyranids. This is probably the best Tyranids have ever been in the history of 40k, as well as the most, not only on a competitive standpoint, fun to play, but from a fluffy narrative standpoint, this is the most fun Tyranids have ever been. So excellent time picking up Tyranids. We're going to dive in everything you need to know about the basics, what models you might want to consider getting first, which ones to save till later, and we'll come over some lists, some very basic generalized lists at different point levels for you guys to consider working towards. So if that all sounds good, do hit that little like and subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our content here at Bolstering Gaming Studios. And if you want to help support the channel just a little bit more, do consider becoming a member. Members get access to our member-only Discord channel as well as member-only videos. So if that all sounds good, let's dive into today's video. So a little bit of an overview for today. We are going to start where to start with Tyranids. Tyranids are a very big book. There's a lot to go through, so we're going to just cover some starting points, some units to consider, like I said, how to expand your force. We will touch on Forge World just a little bit. We do have some Forge World units you could consider. Some purchasing methods for Tyranids. Tyranids are a very expensive army, so some ways to get around just paying straight GW prices. And then, like I said, some examples of a 500, 1,000 and 2,000 point list. So first off, where to start with Tyranids? You want to ask yourself first, why are you playing Tyranids? Do you want competitive play? A lot of people are drawn to the Tyranids right now for the competitiveness, and that's okay, but maybe it's not for you. Do you just love the look of the Tyranids? That's the reason I started Tyranids 10, almost 11 years ago now, was big monsters, swarms of aliens. That's what I loved. I didn't know anything about the play style, but that, or you want another army. You just want something for fun. Nothing too competitive, nothing too bad, just casual fun 40k. Perfect place to start too. Once you figure that out, or at least a general idea, then ask yourself, how big of an army do you want? Is this your first army, or an army you really want to grow to a full size? Is this just something you want to get to be able to play a variety of 2K games, maybe 1,000 point games? Or you just, I would never recommend buying everything at once. But if you want to just get your feet wet, try 1,000 or 500 points, then try 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. I think is the best way to enter into an army. And then for Tyranids, we are very viable, We're a very broad codex. You can play a lot of different armies viably, whether it's different high fleets, different, like you could play speed, horde, monster mash, deep strike, alpha strike, beta strike, whichever you want to play, all different options for Tyranids. So ask yourself if you have a general list in mind, if you just want to play horde, you want to play monster mash, or if you want to play a more balanced approach to the Tyranids. All things to consider when deciding what models you're going to pick up. So where to start? First off, you're going to need a codex. Tyranid Codex is awesome, beautiful artwork in there. Pick up one of those first and look through, see what catches your eye, what models you really like the lore of or the look of, and then maybe work on those. Some other things, of course, GW has been creating these combat patrol boxes. Tyranids are no exception. They have a okay one. It's not top tier, I would consider, but it's a solid one. We get a Hive Tyrant, which can be made into the Hive Tyrant, Swarm Lord, and a Hive Tyrant with wings. 3 warriors, 36 Termagants, and also you can get a unit of 3 Rippers out of that as well. It is a solid start for the Tyranids. However, if you are someone who, say, wants to only play Monster Match, I wouldn't waste your money on this. The Hive Tyrant and the warriors are great, but just save the money, buy the Hive Tyrant warriors, and then buy an extra box of warriors or buy a big monster to go with it instead of spending the money on Gaunts. If you do want to eventually have Gaunts, then absolutely pick up one of these. Savings wise, and why I say if you think you are ever going to use Termagants, I would consider buying this box, is because you are paying $150 normal retail price for GW for $225 worth of stuff. So that is a 33% savings, which is unlike anything else GW ever does besides these combat patrol boxes. Even then, I think this one is one of the more price efficient combat patrol boxes out there. So at least if you think you are ever going to touch the models in the box, highly recommend picking up one of these. So next step, let's say you got the combat patrol box. Now where do you go with it? There are some key units right now that are being used across every single army. So ones you want to consider here, boxes of Zoanthropes are going to be big. Not only do you make Venomthropes and Zoanthropes out of them, you can also get the Neurothrope. Neurothrope is probably the most used HQ. I think every single Tyranid list, if it wants to have a competitive edge to it, will have a Neurothrope in it. Has to be, if not our most powerful units in the game. Zoanthropes are also awesome. They give off that invuln save army-wide potentially. So unit of them, you'll probably want to pick them up. Tyranid Warriors, I think the Tyranid Warriors are a core option to every single Tyranid army. You're going to be seeing, I would say, at least 5, 6, 9 in every Tyranid army. So picking up an extra box or two of those so you have multiple squads to work with is great. Tyranid Warriors are one of those units. They're so good. They work in 3-man units, 4-man units, 5-man units, 6-man units. The only thing I wouldn't take 7 or 8. I would go skip 7 and 8 and go straight to 9. But everything else, Warriors work perfectly on their squad sizes. You can also make a Tyranid Prime out of them, which is no bad HQ choice. I use one in my competitive Kraken list, so always a good option there too. I would also consider, maybe not initially, but once you have maybe some core stuff, a unit of Gargoyles I think is essential in everybody's list. Maybe you don't like the Gargoyles, you don't want them, but they're just, even playing competitive or casual, the utility a Gargoyle unit can have for its 80 points is so good. I would say it's almost non-include. Every Tyranid army, 1 unit of Gargoyles, you can make them do something objective-wise, screening-wise, whatever the case may be. All right, now you've got your core. We'll talk about bolstering your force up even higher here. Some units I would consider. Tyrannofex Tervagon, that is a unit I would definitely consider magnetizing. The Tyrannofex part is easy to magnetize. The heads are easy to magnetize. The sack on the Tervagon is tricky to do. It is doable, but I would say out of all the Tyranid magnetizations, it's up there as one of the more difficult. But if you do it, it pays off in the end, because the ability to swap between Tyrannofex and Tervagon can potentially save you a lot of money if you're just playing around with models. So that's a great one, especially if you want to play with your Termagants. 30 Termagants backed by Tervagon is just a tar pit that is nasty to deal with. You might want to pick up another Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord kit. Right now you can only have 1, potentially 2, 1 per detachment Hive Tyrants. But if you take 2 detachments, you could take 2 Hive Tyrants or 2 Swarm Lords. At least you want the ability to run multiples. You could magnetize your Foot Hive Tyrant to be Foot Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord, and then you'll want 1 more to be a flying option. Some people love 2 flying ones, some people don't want to deal with magnets, but I think having a second one for some options is a great opportunity to pick up one of those. Right now the Maleceptor is probably one of the MVPs of the Tyranid Codex, so if you can manage to find one of those, definitely worth picking it up. I'll put a note in right here because I forgot about it earlier. Check the time this video was published. I highly suspect within the next month, 2, maybe 3, if you're looking at this from the future? Yeah, if you're looking at this in the future, some of these things are going to get points, nerfs, balance, data slates are going to adjust them. I have a feeling the Maleceptor won't be as powerful as it is right now, but for the time being, a Maleceptor is very good in most, if not all, armies. I think Raveners are my favorite unit out of the Tyranid Codex, so maybe I'm a little bit biased towards them, but I think having at least a unit of 3, if not a unit of 6 Raveners, or multiple units of 6, or a unit of 9, some Raveners are a great option to pick up just for their speed and versatility in small units for objectives or large units for damage dealing. You also, if you're going to be playing Swarm Lord or Foot Tyrant, even a Flying Tyrant, a unit of Tyrant Guard can go a long way to keeping your key HQ unit walking around the table alive for that much longer. They're an investment, both money and points wise, into your army, but they're worth it, I think, keeping that Tyrant alive. Anything else you like the look of, definitely pick it up and figure out how to use it. So we'll talk about Forge World, because some of you may have seen Forge World stuff and maybe it's drawn you towards it. Forge World currently, again, at the time of filming this, not legal. GW has not updated the rules, the keywords for the Forge World units to have the Hive Tendril keyword. Therefore, technically, you can't really put them in the list. That should be changed any week now, any day now. So assuming it is changed and everything stays the same, they used to be staples of the Tyranid army in 9th edition. Now they're not as competitive. So for Forge World, I wouldn't focus on these guys right away unless there's one you just are dying because you love the look of it. I would save them for a much later thought. I played Tyranids for 9 years before I even bought my first Forge World model. So I would avoid them for now unless there's one you just really love and have to have. So then once you kind of have your basics done, the rest is up to you. Tyranids, like I said, are just a vast codex. You can really play and build whatever you want to be competitive. Play around with what you want. Maybe you start liking more of a shooty feel. Tyranids have a lot of shooting options. Maybe you like close combat. Tyranids, tons and tons and tons of close combat there. If you got a list in mind, work towards it. Definitely don't just play your army once and be like, I lost, the list is horrible. You got to play it over and over again. Fine-tune the tactics when you're playing it. Hopefully you check out this channel if you want to know about those tactics and those units. We're going to be starting up our datasheet deep dives on the 9th edition Codex for the Tyranids here very soon. So stay tuned to those videos if you want more in-depth on each of the units in the Tyranid Codex. But yeah, play what you want. All your high fleets are competitive. I would say definitely your top 3 are going to be Kraken, Leviathan, and then either Behemoth or Jormungand, or those 2 are fighting for top 3. Other than that, the rest of them are still good, but you probably won't see them on top tables of tournaments. Yeah, and one more note, if you are brand new, some people you'll see with, very common with Space Marines, is that Space Marine players paint their Space Marines the chapter that they're playing as. So your Ultramarines are blue, your Blood Angels are red, your Salamanders are green. Do not worry about that at all for the Tyranids. Do not think, I painted my Tyranids purple, they have to be Leviathan, or I painted mine red, they have to be Kraken. No, no one is going to care, no one's going to take points away from you, no one's going to judge you about the paint scheme. Paint the color you want and play them as the high fleet you want. Don't worry about the painting. I see people every once in a while ask the question about, but I really want to play them as this. If you really want to play them as the color, by all means go for it. But don't let that be a deciding factor or something that keeps you hung up. Now, when you're buying your Tyranids, a few things I always do when I'm buying models. First thing, never buy from GW unless it's something that you are trying to get special ordered. Like right now, unfortunately, Tyranid Raveners have to be special ordered. But even then, you can probably buy those through other means. Third-party retailers, so your local game store, definitely support them. Nothing against GW, but support your local game stores first. They also often have discounts of anywhere from 5, 10, 20% off. So definitely do that to get cheaper prices. Buy used models, especially if you're brand new and you're new to painting. Consider buying, go online, find some, 10 gaunts for used, cheaper price, and practice painting on those before you paint on your really nice centerpiece HQ models or your big monsters. I definitely, when I first started, my first 40 models were all used, and I bought them, people paint or built them, never painted them, or they primed them and I just painted on them. It definitely a way to get some cheaper models, and especially for your gaunts. No one's gonna look at your gaunts down and be like, ooh, these gaunts, they're not as cool as your big monsters. No, people, as long as the gaunts are all painted the same, they're gonna look cool on the table. The big monsters are what people stare at. Some other places to find stuff, so eBay and Facebook Marketplace. I think Facebook Marketplace is turning into an awesome place to find Tyranids, or models in general. One of them that I'm in is like an AOS/Warhammer 40k buy sell models for USA and Canada. I'm sure there's ones for Europe or country specific. Anyway, all the time. I always spend, I spend 5-10 minutes a day just browsing that, looking for deals on Tyranids, and there's a lot of Tyranid stuff that pops up. So take a take a gander, look through those and see what you can find. You might just find a nice deal there to pick up some cheap models. All right, so now we're gonna go over some example lists. This is taking in consideration the Combat Patrol box. Eventually in the future, we'll go through other list options, but for this, in terms of learning, getting new into the hobby, we're gonna look at the Combat Patrol box because I think that is still a great place for a brand new Tyranid player to start. So the list you make from the Combat Patrol box is just 150 bucks. You have your Foot Tyrant with Lash Whip Bone Sword and a Heavy Venom Cannon, and you can pay the points for Adrenal Glands on them. You got 30 Termagants. You can't do full 36 just because of limitations of everything really, but 30 Termagants. And you got your Tyranid Warriors. I would equip these guys with dual Bone Swords, Death Spitters, and give one of them a Venom Cannon. Perfect. And again, these lists, I do have this one down at 495 points because that's what it comes out as. The rest of these lists aren't going to be 100 on the nose exact, but they will not be over the 1,000, 2,000 point. Reason I'm doing it this way is because it is to give room for the future if point changes happen, which I assume they will happen, and for you to add your own little touches to them. So going into 1,000 points, going off of the same list, we will have our Hive Tyrant exactly the same as he was before, our 30 Gaunts, our same unit of warriors, but then we have added another unit of 3 warriors, identical loadout, dual Bone Swords, Death Spitters, and 1 Venom Cannon. In the elites, we have added a Maliceptor because the Maliceptor is awesome. We have added some Zoanthropes because the Zoanthropes are awesome, and 3 Raveners because you love having that speed and utility on the flanks of your army. So perfect there. This cost comes out to $420. Remember, this is GW retail price. If you imagine getting this 10 to 20% off, you can save, 40 to 60 bucks. Well, 40 to 80 bucks off of that. Buy used models, you can be even cheaper. Next, we're gonna look at 2,000 point list. So again, we've got our Hive Tyrant, but now we've started to spend a lot more here to increase what our army can put out. So we've bought a couple boxes of Zoanthropes, so now we have a Neurothrope. We also have bought a Termagant box to go perfect with our group of Gaunts. You'll notice that the Termagant lot has been put down to 26 models. That is because you have 36 Termagants right now, and the Termagant comes with 10 Gaunts. So in order to, be able to spawn those 10 Gaunts, you need the full models for those. You need to cut back 4 Termagants out of your main lot. If you find some extra Termagants online, fill it up to your full points, but that's the reason why it's at 26. We've also added another box of warriors to bump up our warrior squads to 4-man squads, which I think is a great spot there again. Same loadout. We have then added in a box of gargoyles because I think gargoyles are awesome. The Maliceptor is still there. We now have 5 Zoanthropes. I think you really only ever need 3 or 4. 5 is a bit overkill, but we have the models, so we might as well use them right now. Added in some Tyrant Guard to keep that Hive Tyrant kicking just a few more turns longer. Raveners, we added another box. We have a big block of 6. Very powerful, very potent to a lot of opponents. Then we've added an Exocrine because the Exocrines are good all-around shooting. If you saw my recent video comparing a lot of the anti-tank options in the Tyranid Codex at range, Exocrine is a solid all-around performer, so added one of those in. And then we added in a Harpy. I think a Harpy is one of the most powerful units also in the Codex. It is one of the most expensive model-wise, and it'll probably see a significant point increase. So if you're watching this future and maybe the Harpy isn't nearly as good as it is, or as it was, swap that in maybe for another Exocrine, maybe a Tyrannofex. You could put in the Rupture Cannon. I know a lot of people love the idea of the Rupture Cannon. Not sold on it, but you could throw that in there. I like the Acid Spray more. Or you want to throw in some Carnifexes. Play around with the list. This is just giving you a base framework of what to work around. And I think playing a list like this is a good all-rounder. You're not going to probably go top tournament, but you're not going to get curb stomped every time. So that's that. Cost of this list is just over $1,000, which sounds like a lot because it is a lot. It is $40K now, and we are in a very inflation-heavy economy, so thanks for that. Previous cost of the 1,000-point list was $420. Nice. Gargoyles, $35. Another Block Raveners, $50. Tyrant Guard, $70. Exocrine, $80. Warriors, $60. Neurothropes, or Neurothrope and Zoanthropes, $70. Oh, I have Exocrine on here twice. That should be Harpy and Turvagon. Man, prices have gone up. When I originally bought, I have 2 Turvagons. Yeah, 2 Turvagons, 1 Tyrannofex, and 1 Magnetized to be both. When I bought those back in my day of a young high schooler, Turvagons and Tyrannofexes were $55. And at one point they came out with a limited edition box, which came with 10 Termagants or 12 Termagants and a Turvagon for $65. I did buy two of those when they came out. So I've got enough big chassis. It's just crazy to see that the prices have gone up so much in that amount of time. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much all I've got for this video. I want to keep it concise, quick, for all you new viewers to understand. Welcome to the Hive Mind if you are joining. Hopefully this video helps you persuade you into the Hive Mind. Tyranids right now are a top tier army. I believe we are one of the only 2 S tier armies in all of 40K right now. We'll see what happens when all the new Chaos and Imperial Guard stuff come out in the future. But if you're looking, if you've ever been tempted by the Tyranids, by the Hive Mind, this is the best time in my opinion to be dabbling into them. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, again, remember to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content. We'll be doing plenty more Tyranid content here, battle reports, tactics, all of those things. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for our members for supporting us here, and we'll catch you next time here at Bolstering Gaming Studios.